Hello and welcome to the next episode on how to use some digital tools, specifically AI-based ones, to make your life a little bit easier. So in the last episode, one of the things that we did was look at how we can use these tools to help us plan out our lessons. But what about the resources? So we've all been caught in that moment where you plan on creating a resource in the morning before you get to your session, but then traffic, you spill your coffee, you can't get the kids into school, etc., and you face that issue of having to try and get these resources set up. Now, obviously, the main solution to that is plan ahead, but sometimes reality hits and you have to adapt to last minute changes, and sometimes you just simply are human and forget. So I'm going to show you some of these tools that are going to help you in those moments where you don't have the time, to try and save you a bit of that time. So let's dive in and take a little look at some of the tools that I like to use. Okay, so one of the things that really helps with your lessons is obviously some visual aid on the board. I'm not really a fan of a kind of chalk and talk session, just purely down to the amount of time that you have to spend actually writing things up on the board. I think it's good for certain things, but generally I like to have an actual kind of main lesson set up. Now, I've used this tool a few times, as you can see, for my content creation classes. And what's quite nice is with this tool, which is called Chalky, it's really good for creating single lessons, multiple lessons, and worksheets for your sessions. Now, we're going to focus on this one here, the one-off lesson. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to ask me what my lesson topic is. So in this lesson, we are going to talk about healthy eating in the construction industry. So maybe a PDT session on kind of healthy living when you're working non-stop. Now, it'll give us an option of what levels these are. Now, obviously, typically for college, we're aiming for year 12 and 13. But if you are teaching level 2, then you're probably aiming for more of your year 11s, year 10s, level 1s. It's probably best to go for the year 10s, year 9s. For this, we're going to go for year 12. Language, we can tell it how many slides we want as well. Now, you have to pay if you want more than 10, but this kind of gets you right the way there. So you can also choose which curriculum it is going from. So a national curriculum in England, as I said, we can go through different subjects, etc., etc. It doesn't actually need this here, so we're just going to press continue. And it's going to give us some additional instructions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit of context. Remember the importance of context. So this is a session for construction learners on the importance of a healthy diet within their industry. There needs to be a focus on what they should and shouldn't be doing to maintain a healthy lifestyle with their line of work. Now, what you could include is anything like proper nutritional information. You could get it to include things like, the risks of smoking, etc., etc. You tell it what it is that you want. It is completely optional. Otherwise, it'll just kind of give it what it is that you want based off the title. Now, you can add existing resources. You can get it to adding learning goals and objectives. You can get it to include learning activities and a key vocabulary list if you want. I'm just going to add in some learning activities and some learning goals and objectives. We're going to press continue. Now it's going to give us the options for how we want it to look. Let's do simple for this one. Okay, and we're going to press generate lesson. All right, now's the point where, again, you go and make yourself a coffee and you wait for it to complete. So let's assume we've just gone off and made our coffee. We've come back. I'm going to press get started. It's going to give you some of the info on how you can export it and share it. But here we go. Healthy eating in the construction industry. We have this very famous shot of the workman on the girders in New York. And let's see what else it's given us. So here's our objectives. Understand why a balanced diet is essential for construction workers. Healthy and unhealthy eating habits. Recognise the impact of diet on energy, safety and well-being, etc., etc. Now the cool thing is I can go in and I can edit these if I want to. I can edit it with AI. I can add an activity. I can add a worksheet. I can add in an extra slide. But let's have a little look through what it's made. So why nutrition is crucial in construction. Demanding work, demanding diet. Okay, let's see if we can add a little activity here. So maybe up a little open-ended question. So it's going to add a little activity afterwards. Very good. All right, so it's saying consider the physically demanding nature of construction works described in slide 3. Okay, there we are. So, lovely stuff. How might construction workers' diet directly influence their safety on site? Cool. Okay, what else has it got me? What makes for a healthy diet? Nice. Okay, good versus poor eating habits. Common pitfalls on site. Top tips for healthy eating. And here's a little quiz at the end. And it's provided the answers for you too. And a little case study. And a nice summary to make sure that you're all up to scratch. And there you go. There's your lesson plan done. Now, as I said, I've used this loads of times. So I've used this for things like this, where I've got it to give me less kind of case study lesson on broadcasting, for example. So I've actually used this. Again, here's some. You can always tell if it's a box I've added because it doesn't tend to look as well placed. Also, just some of my own expectations. So things about, adding in sources, etc., etc. But what if we want to take this a little bit further? What if you don't just want a PowerPoint? So this is where we're going to look at how we can start to use code to actually develop tools for us. And for this, we're going to use a couple of different tools. One of the ones that I like to use is a tool called Claude. Now, Claude is good for programming. It's good for creating these interactive tasks. It does have somewhat of a limit, but one of the best things about it is that it will let you host the site directly from Claude itself. So let's have a little look at what Claude can do. Okay, so this is Claude. Now, again, this has multiple different models. There are the Pro models. Opus is an incredibly powerful tool. The problem is that these are quite expensive to use. They've upped the plans recently. You are welcome to explore those if you have the budget and want to do so. But for me, I like to keep things free. So let's get this to now create a tool for us. Let's stay on the same subject. So we're going to say, can you create and this is the important part, interactive tool using HTML? So if you want to create an interactive tool, it's best to ask it to do this. That's your kind of buzzword, interactive tool using HTML. So can you create an interactive tool using HTML to teach my 16 to 18-year-old learners who are studying construction about the importance of a healthy lifestyle? And we're going to press enter. Now sometimes it'll ask you if there's anything you want to add to it, but usually it'll just start to crack on. And this is where it opens up the matrix and it starts to develop all of this code. Now this is HTML, which I haven't used since the days of MySpace. So I have some knowledge of it, but definitely it's not there enough for me anymore that I could create these things from scratch quickly. So it's going to create these really good looking interactive tools which we can host directly from this website itself. So this is what the publish tool is going to be for. The other thing that you can do is if you have a website for your course using Google Sites or if you have a site for your course on Wix, whatever it may be, you can copy this code directly and actually embed it onto a site, which is what I'll show you after it has done this and after I've showed you the publish thing here. While it's doing its thing, let's just set up a quick Google site. So I'm going to go to sites.google.com and wait for this to load. And we're just going to add in a blank site for now. Okay. And what we can do is we can add in a new page if we want to. And I'm going to call this page Healthy Lifestyle Work. Press done. And we're going to go to insert. And we're going to use this box here once it has done this code. So you can kind of watch it doing its thing. You can see that we've got some quizzes here. We've got some exercise information. Now, sometimes with Claude, it doesn't manage to finish all of the code. Now, the easiest way to tell this is if you scroll to the bottom, it should end with a tag that says HTML. If it doesn't do that, then you know it's not finished. So some of the things won't work. It will usually tell you that it's hit a limit. You can tell it to continue, and then it will continue writing that code. Here we go. But this is sometimes where using some of the other tools can be a bit more useful, all right, as they don't kind of have these limits that Claude does. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can get this to race another tool here. So, oh, this one's done. So it wouldn't be much of a race. Let's see if it's managed to finish that. Okay, it has finished that. So if we press this little I, then this is our kind of tool here. So planning your construction worker meal. We've got nutrition stuff here. So 3,000 calories burned daily in construction, 8 to 10 glasses of water needed, 25 performance drop from dehydration. Here's a scenario. And what's quite nice is you can, there we go, look, too much fat, too low fat. So it's all completely interactive. Fitness, this gives you some more scenarios. Click on an exercise to perform. It gives you all of this here. If you need to do some squats. Safety, we've got some safety stuff here. Some stuff about mental health. And we've got some quizzes too. All right. So Claude is quite good. It does have its limits though. So what we can do sometimes is actually copy and paste this code over into Gemini, and we can get it to kind of finish that code off. We'll maybe look at that in another episode though, as that gets quite tricky. So let's go back to this for now. We can talk about how it is we can host this, since it's managed to do us quite a good job. So if I press publish, what it's going to do is it's going to say publishing this artifact will make it accessible to anyone, but the chat will remain private. So all this is private. It's only this website that it is then hosting. So this is our site link. I can copy that link and I can paste that in, and here is that website. So I can just put this directly up onto Google Classroom, etc., etc. But again, maybe you have a website that you want to actually embed it onto. So here's how you can do that. If I go to this code and I press copy and go to my site here, I'm going to press this little embed button, and we want to embed the code. Okay, and we're going to press next, and that's how you can check it is what it is that you want it to be. Press insert, then all you need to do is resize it to fit your screen for your website. And then when you share this website with your students, they'll have access to this. So you can kind of have one hub where all of your tools are. So that's just a couple of cool ways that you can create resources using these models. Now, some of the other things that you can do is actually get it to generate images, get it to generate worksheets. All you need to do is ask. Now, one of the things that we're going to do in some of the future episodes in the next episode actually, is start to ask it about those tricky questions. How do I embed maths? How do I embed English? How do I embed British values within our lessons? So join me in the next episode where we're going to tackle those tricky points.